Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the American Sports Connection. I am your host, the one and only Joey Railroads. I'm here with my buddy Jason. How's it going, dude?
Pretty good. Kind of early morning for me, but ready to go.
Yes, because today we have a very special guest. You may know him as the play-by-play and ring announcer for CZW Dojo Wars and any other promotion really in the tri-state area. We'd like to welcome Emil J to the show. How's it going, Emil?
I'm doing great, Joey and Jason. I'm happy to be on this show. Happy to talk about professional wrestling, more specifically Dojo Wars. So,
That's it. Good, Jason.
Sorry. Yeah, Dojo. Well, we're regular attendees, I guess you would say, Dojo Wars, and it's become almost like a cult thing for us. You know, like we make friends there. We're making a lot of friends there. So, first thing I want to do is thank you for running it every Wednesday night because it's given us it's something that we just do on a regular basis now. It's almost we're like, all right, you pick it, Joey, I'm sorry, picks me up, and I'm like, you ready to go, 6:15 or whatever? We get there a little early, talk to the people in the parking lot, and have fun. So that's the first thing I want to do is just thank you for your hard work and Dojo Wars. Well, thank you very much for that. I want to thank you guys for coming out every week. And, what you said is true. There really is a camaraderie that has developed not only between us, the wrestlers that do these events every Wednesday, but also the fans. All you guys are kind of just everybody's cool with each other. Nobody's really a goofball or anything like that. Everybody gets along. It's a nice, close-knit, intimate atmosphere. And really, there's nothing like it out there, honestly.
No, I agree with that. For those that aren't familiar, Dojo Wars is the CZW WSU Wrestling Academy shows that they have every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Now, Emil, what I wanted to ask you is, how did Dojo Wars come to be, and how did you become affiliated with it?
Well, I have been with CZW off and on since late 2009. I say 2010 officially. I did, kind of like go for work in 09. I don't really count that per se. But I've been with CZW since about 2010, off and on. I had to take some time off for job-related things. But in late 2013, I heard rumors of, we're going to add this new brand to the thing, just have shows at the school. And that was the brainchild of Drew Gulak and DJ Hot. I guess they came up with that. But essentially, it was when it started in May of 2014, it was essentially Drew's program. And me being affiliated with CZW as a ring announcer, it was only natural that I would fulfill that role at Dojo Wars as well. When we first started, I didn't really have anything to do with the creative process at all. I just kind of showed up and waited for the matches to get written on the board. It was very much a different atmosphere when it first started in comparison to where it's at now. When we first brought the concept in, over 2 years ago, it was 5 matches for $5. That was the thing. Every other week, it was also every other week, not every week. So wrestlers would show up, and Drew would go around and kind of match people together, make big, wacky 6, 8, 10-man tags, and it was really fun. It was just kind of off the cuff, seat of your pants, whoever shows up, okay, we're going to put you guys together, we're going to put you guys in a match, we're going to take you 8 guys and put you in a match together, and we're just going to see what works, what doesn't work. It was very much a learning process for for the young wrestlers to learn how to, try things out in front of a crowd, see what gets over, see what doesn't get over. And it's basically like any reputable wrestling school in the country, they'll have guys do practice matches, on a night of the week. Well, we were just kind of doing that in front of a paying crowd if anybody wanted to show up, so we were giving them a little bit of a different experience doing this kind of practice in front of people. And as the program developed over time, we made the push to go every week. And we started having on a weekly basis. And then I don't know exactly when it happened, but Drew started, because I was there week in and week out, or every other week, or however it went at that time. I was consistently there, and Drew, I've had different discussions with Drew over the years, and he started to kind of, ask me, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Do you have any ideas for this guy? What would you like to see here? Like, he started kind of picking my brain a bit, and I started picking his as well. And all of a sudden, he said, he started giving me more duties. He started saying, why don't you come up with an idea for this new guy and, give him a gimmick or give him a name or something like that. It started simple like that. And then as the weeks and months progressed, he gave me more and more things to I guess, not worry about, not more things to worry about, more things to, more duties to do during the shows. And then earlier this year, about January 2016, he pulled me outside and he said, listen, I got another job opportunity, within wrestling. And I think we all know what that is. He said, I got something on the horizon here. I can't be here every week. He had started missing a few Wednesdays here and there due to travel and things like that. And when he would miss, he put me in charge of the thing. So I was already kind of second in command there. And then when he pulled me outside that night, he was like, okay, starting next week, this thing is yours. You have control. You have carte blanche to do pretty much whatever you want. He had a couple of wishes that he asked me to fulfill, and I did. And ever since I think it was Dojo Wars 58 or 59, I can't, maybe 57, whatever the first one is up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dojo Wars 1. That was kind of like the first one that I ever had full control for my run. You know what I mean? I had full control over a couple of previous events, but starting with that 57, 58, whatever it is, since then it's been mostly all me with Preacher helps. Rob Dimension, when he was there, he would help out. Sozio, DJ Hyde, of course. They all have their inputs, and I listen to a lot of I take a lot of inputs from a lot of the guys on the roster because they have things that they want to do, and if I figure it this way, if they want to wrestle somebody or want to do a specific thing, it will likely be better because they want to do it. So somebody pitches something to me, I'm like, yeah, that sounds fine. Go have a good match. Make everybody happy, entertain us all. But that's kind of sort of how it kind of got started as to where it's at now. Now, in comparison to the 5 matches for $5 thing, you guys know, a lot of times I have like 9 or 10 matches because I just really like to watch pro wrestling. So, I book the shows out now. It's much less of a, hey, just show up and you'll be on type thing. It's more so, hey, I'll book you and put you in these programs. And that's sort of what it's evolved to, instead of just practice having matches and seeing what gets over and what doesn't, what moves work, what moves don't. Now it's teaching guys how to be in a program, how to do promo work, how to be in a feud, how to do all these other things that make up professional wrestling as a whole. So the whole product has really evolved, and we've seen guys make it from Dojo Wars to the main show, like Connor Claxton, like the Dub Boys, Frankie Picard, Jimmy Lloyd, Dan O'Hare, Blackwater. All these guys have come from Dojo Wars, and it's a hell of a thing to see. And I'm really excited for the future, clearly.
Yeah. I think that was a great rundown of the birth and I guess you would say the adoption, being you taking over Drew Gulak's baby in a way and becoming its leader. Yeah, so I'll guess, do you have any questions, Joey? I mean, it's your thing.
Well, the other thing I was going to ask was, since we've been going, is my personal favorite moment going to Dojo Wars was when Frankie Picard won the Medal of Valor. And my question was, is there a particular favorite moment that you have, Emil?
Ooh, man. A lot of my favorite moments are times wherein you may not be expecting much, or you just kind of put a match out there, not really, but it turns out being great, and the crowd really turns out loving it and stuff. Those unexpected great moments are my favorites, because it's just so natural and organic, and I'm not putting something out there this is going to be great. I put it out there, okay, here's a match, and then it winds up getting over gangbusters, and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Case in point, a lot of times I can't remember exactly when you guys started coming around. Would you happen to have that off the top of your head,
I think
roundabout?
Summer.
Well, my first Dojo was the mega event before last year's Cage of Death.
Okay.
And I came to a few sprinkled in before this summer, and then me and Joey have just been regulars since June, I believe. There was a point where I think I was at 20 or more straight.
Yeah, and June sounds about right.
Yeah, we've been running since then.
So the one thing I was going to bring up, you guys actually probably weren't around for it. Before Trooper Autobahn was a referee, he was one of the wrestlers, and he suffered an injury. That's why he's refereeing now. He got a neck injury, so I was like, no, you can't. don't risk it. But for a long time there, we had this really fun segment that led to a lot of these moments, these unexpected great moments that I was talking about. And it was a really weird long title. Every week we would have the Trooper Autobahn Dojo Wars Grand Prix Open Challenge Trial Series, and then I would throw in a memorial for it. It was just this big, long-winded match name. Let's see, it was the Trooper Autobahn Dojo Wars Grand Prix. The first one was the Gorilla Monsoon Memorial Invitational Open Challenge. And then, so Trooper would come out and he would, say, he would cut a promo. He was like, if anybody in the back's got the stones to come face me. And it was always a surprise. And that, I liked to see the reactions of the people when whoever that person would be would come through the door. And, sometimes people would laugh. Sometimes people would be like, oh no, Trooper, you're going to die. Sometimes, they just, it was always something different. And that led to a lot of fun moments. Before Schlack became a regular part of the roster, we were doing this thing where intermittently throughout the show, Schlack would just appear from somewhere different in the dojo. One time he came up from underneath the ring. One time he came out from the bathroom. He just came from wherever during the show. No freaking, no warning at all. Here Schlack, so that was always a fun moment. Just those little natural fun moments that get built up, and because like there's been so many great matches that like if I was to sit here and try to like think them and list them out, I would be doing quite a few members of the roster a disservice because there's been so many of them I would forget. I would forget one or two or 18 of them, and I don't really want to do that. But my favorite moments are just when you guys really take to something that's being presented to you in the wrestling ring, and whenever you guys start making noise and clapping and or yelling at the wrestlers and giving them a hard time or whatever it is, that interaction, that's my favorite. I love that. I can't really narrow it down beyond that. Like, I just love that feeling of the crowd just latching on to whatever is being presented to them.
Yeah, I think the good thing too, like speaking of like the latching on to like and yelling at a guy, last night I thought was perfect way to start it with. I believe his name was Ox Haney was the guy who debuted last night because I'd never seen him there before, and he like instantly started getting heat, and it got everybody in the crowd like right into the show. Yeah. So where we were like yelling at him and joking, and and the match was good too. And that I guess starts the flow just going forward, where it seemed like it never stopped last night. Like the whole show last night was just straightforward, good, great wrestling, and it just went right to the end, and it culminated with the finals of the Dramatic Destination, I believe is the name of it. I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, the Dramatic Destination series.
That name just came from me essentially marking out for Japanese wrestling, and they always have those like weird kind of words that don't necessarily go together. If you ever look at their like stipulations or whatever like that, you're like, those words don't really belong next to each other, but hey, it works because it's fun. Loose interpretation of the translation, I suppose. And the only reason I put that whole tournament together, aside from just providing quality content and making it really mean something to have a number one contender for the Medal of Valor, I just wanted to test myself to see if I could put together a grandiose 14-guy round-robin tournament, much like the G1 Climax in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That was just a test for me as a booker to see if I could put something like that together. And I think it worked out. It was a bit long, but I wanted it to be long. I wanted it to be I wanted these guys to really get experience working singles matches week in and week out against a bunch of different guys, and for them to know who they're going to wrestle so they can get their mind right for it and have a prize at the end of it. Like I said, I think it worked out well. I had fun watching it unfold. Unfortunately, there were some times where some guys couldn't make it, but I get that. It's on a Wednesday night. Real life crops up, jobs or emergencies or whatever it is. But all that being said, I think it was a success, and I think that last night, the way it ended and culminated with Wheeler Yuta winning over Kid Osborne, I couldn't ask for a better end for that entire thing. We really saw some breakout stars happen through that tournament. We saw, Kefka go bad throughout that tournament. We saw, Josh Adams went roughshod over his whole thing, got screwed out of it by Kid Osborne. We saw Kid Osborne being a conniving snake. We saw a bunch of singles matches from guys like Bear Bronson and Maxwell Jacob Feinstein, Nate Carter, guys that don't typically get singles matches a lot. So there was a whole lot of stuff going on in there, and I'm really happy the way it turned out. And because it's recent in my memory, Max Caster and Wheeler Yuta last week, man, they had a real banger of a match. I tell you, man, they really they had one hell of a match last week.
Me and Jason were just talking about that last week, that might have been the best match we've seen since we started going there.
It definitely has the potential to be that, yeah.
I'll just say it was. In my opinion, it was the best match. I mean, the crowd there, too, like, as soon as the 3 count happened, it was like everybody erupted, banging on the ring, which is awesome that you're close enough to bang on the ring and have that kind of, reaction.
I love that. I want more of that.
Yeah, that match was fantastic, though. I mean, like you said, the guys, like, separated themselves from their tag partners in this tournament and just went off on their own. And I think the tournament, the product that you put forth with that tournament was fantastic, because it seemed week in and week out we were getting these singles matches and just these kind of different stories, I guess you would say, with guys against each other, leading into, I guess we'll get into what's going on at Dojo Wars 100 in a few minutes or a few seconds here. It just the flow of that tournament seemed to it was a snowball effect, like every week it got stronger and stronger. The matches were just so good. And it makes us want to come back, want to watch the product. And the best thing I can say is, anybody listening to this, go on YouTube. I believe you said it was youtube.com/Dojo Wars 1 and watch the matches. I can't recommend them enough. Just watch them. And I think you'll become a fan and you'll become hooked to just
and
straight.
By the way, all that, it's free. It's free to watch.
Yeah. Yep, all you have to do is get on YouTube, and it costs $0.0099.
Yep, free 99.
Free 99. There you go.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. And I put in a lot of thought to how these matches would break down and the scheduling of it and everything like that. So I'm glad that it translated to the viewing audience. Sometimes I get a little nervous, and not because I don't think that this is so complicated, nobody will understand. Like, I'm not saying it from that point of view, but sometimes I feel like I'm like maybe I'm putting so much thought into like these little things that maybe I might be like the only one to notice them, but no, like you guys really latch on to like all these little small intricate details that I put in there, that I like kind of sneak in, and you guys realize it. You guys are like a very smart to the product kind of audience. You guys know what's going on, the ins and outs, and if something like if something crops up new, like you guys are right up on it. You're like, oh, that happened because 2 weeks ago that happened. You guys remember. Like, you guys aren't like this like stereotypical dumb wrestling fans don't pay attention. No, you guys are pay attention because you're there each and every week, and you know what's going on, and it's awesome. And I love to see that kind of stuff, and that just fuels my fire to do more stuff like that, just to kind of sneak a little thing in here and there and be like, yeah, these guys will remember that. Like,
it's funny you mentioned that too, because a few weeks ago me and Joey were watching it, and I was telling him, I said, man, I think Kefka's starting to go a little heel on us, because he started throwing in like these little, as much as a mime can, express himself in a negative way, he started to like throw in these little, like bad guy, I get, quote bad guy, I hate saying that, but type of behavior into his matches. And it just so happens, the one week Jimmy opens the door, bam, chair to the head, and the rest is now, history, as well as Billy's beard.
Yeah. It's like, it's so weird. Like, I mentioned yesterday, like after the event and everything like that, I'm like, somehow Kefka the Quiet just turned into like one of the best heels I've seen in a long time. It was sort of like subtle, like you said, he was kind of peppering those kinds of antics in, or those movements. But then when Jimmy opened that door and he got that chair thrown in his face, that's sort of like an inside thing that we had. that we would talk about, before the show, like, hey, remember when Sabu would just throw a chair at you?
Yeah.
One of those things. And we just came up, like, for months we were talking about, like, yeah, I'll hit you with a Sabu, meaning I'm just going to throw a chair at you. And then I guess we joked about it enough. Kefka got the idea. He's like, I'm going to do this. And he did that to Jimmy a couple weeks ago, did that to Billy last week. He did it to both of them yesterday or last night. And that is no longer referred to as a Sabu. It's called the Kefka now. Because, yeah, he's just so good. Like, I can't believe, like, his actions aside, whether or not you agree with it or whatever, but the fact that he was able to push Billy out of the chair, pick it up, throw it at Jimmy, catch it as it bounced off Jimmy's head, and then threw it right at Billy, like, in a matter of, like, 5 seconds was just ridiculous. I don't know. He couldn't have done that better if he tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was absurd.
And now, do you want to get into 100 now? The big anniversary 100th Dojo Wars show? Is that a good way to? Is this a good way to segue? Because I know there was a match that came out of that whole, problem last night with Kefka.
Yeah, Joe Gacy didn't take too kindly to what Kefka was doing, throwing chairs in people's faces, trying to cut people's hair, making a mockery out of young Billy Danvers and all that. So that'll be the first match that we talk about, Joe Gacy versus Kefka. Theoretically, it probably could and should be Jimmy Lloyd versus Kefka, because that's how this whole thing happened. But let's face it, Jimmy and Billy, they're a tag team, and I have a 4-way tag match coming up. So I already scheduled them for that. But I'm sure Jimmy and Kefka will probably wrestle at Dojo Wars 101. That's a bit of a scoop for you coming up out of that situation, because that's got to get rectified and all that. But that's 101. That's on the 16th. We're not really going to worry about right now. We'll just get into Dojo Wars 100 proper. So we got that going on. Now we have. Go ahead.
If my research is right, Kefka versus Joe Gacy is actually a throwback match, too, to Dojo Wars #1.
Yeah.
That was a match that took place at #1, so you have a little bit of a little history there.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even really, really think about that until it was brought to my attention. I was like, oh, that is pretty cool. Okay. So, I think it was like in the very back of my mind. It just, whatever. It just cropped up like that. So we got, Kefka and Gacy. Then we have DJ Hyde versus Ryan Gallione, and that's a match that DJ Hyde specifically asked me for. He wants to wrestle Ryan Gallione, and I said, hey, Dojo Wars 100, we can do it. Also, last night, that match between DJ and Frankie Picard, my goodness, that was brutal.
That was a hard hitting match. That's the best way I could put it. With Frankie hitting the wall very hard, hitting the floor very hard. It was definitely one of the most physical matches I have seen at Dojo Wars. Yeah. And I guess anytime DJ steps in the ring, you're going to get some physicality, because you're usually going to end up with a welded chest and pretty beat up. And him and Gallione are two big guys, so I'm pretty excited to see that one, and I'm expecting that one to be a pretty big, pretty hard hitting match as well.
Yeah, I have high hopes for that one. That's going to be fun to watch. Connor Claxton 1-on-1 with the tweener Max Caster. That's a bit of a scoop. I haven't really announced that one yet, but that will be coming out later on social media. But you heard it here first on the American Sports Connection. Nothing much really needs to be said. Like, if you know Connor Claxton, you know Max Caster, that's going to be one hell of a singles encounter. Both of those guys are really wrestling on all cylinders right now. You know what I mean? They're really hitting their strides, and that's going to be a big matchup. Probably we'll have some sort of Medal of Valor implications going on there, contendership. As we saw last night with the whole Fella Twins Academy, CZW Dojo wrestler, we're going to, I guess, name the winner of that thing. Eddie McQueen is going to make Penelope Ford and Maria Manick, the two pledges of the Fella Twins Academy, wrestle one-on-one for only the second time ever. They had their first ever match back at a Hybrid Wrestling Association last Saturday night, and this is going to be another matchup there between those two. In a matchup that I like to describe as being a fire pro wrestling. We all know I like professional wrestling a lot. I like to refer to big matches or exciting matches as being fire. Like, that's one of my things. Like, yo, that match is fire. That's what I like to say. And this will be a six-man scramble. And I call six-man scrambles Fire Pro Wrestling because, number one, they're very fun and entertaining to watch, but it's also a reference to the Sega Saturn game from Japan of the same name, Fire Pro Wrestling six-man scramble from back in 94, 95, whenever that came out, because I'm a huge nerd for that kind of stuff. So I just call every six-man scramble Fire Pro Wrestling because it pops me. But that match is going to have Eric Martin, Bear Bronson, Mike Orlando, Jamie Senegal, Jeff Bravo, and Tulpa. Those six, they're just going to, go out there and kill it, tear the house down. And that will likely, it's not confirmed, but I like to start shows with scrambles. I feel like that sets the tone. So that will probably be the first matchup out of the gate there come next Wednesday. Following that, I have Dan O'Hare versus Blackwater. That's just a matchup I want to see, quite honestly. Dan O'Hare has been killing it lately. Blackwater has been doing this whole ominous, cryptic messages that he does so well that I have no idea what he's ever talking about. But he's a bit of a strange cat. But coming off of their interactions in that four-way match at CZW last month, I figured that would be a good singles match to have at Dojo Wars 100. Nothing more than a solid upper mid-card match between two stalwarts of the program, Big Scare Dan O'Hare and Blackwater. It's going to be a match that delivers. And I have no idea otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's going to deliver. I'm not doubting that in any sense. From there, Dan O'Hare's regular tag team partner, Schlack, in the Storm of Entrails, will be competing in the very first Dojo death match. Stipulation yet to be determined against Cannonball. And this is a match that I've known that I was going to have at Dojo Wars 100 since about Dojo Wars 70, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started thinking of ideas for Dojo Wars 100 about 6 months ago. I'm not even kidding. That's how far into the future I kind of look into things. I'm always looking towards the future long term. And I know those two are just two sadistic, violent guys, and they're going to do some sadistic and violent things to each other. Viewer discretion is advised. Be safe out there, guys, because you guys are pretty much right on top of the ring there. So
we were
keep your head on the swivel.
talking about that last night.
Yeah. Also, you keep your head on the swivel because, like I said, I'm going to have a four-way tag match. The four teams have been determined. It's going to be the new team of Ace Austin and Laszlo Arpad versus Jimmy Lloyd and Billy Danvers versus Tahir James and Mike Dell versus the Dub Boys in a four-way tag team as Larry Legend would say, extravaganza, if I can borrow from my mentor, I would suppose. And then the last two matches that will be taking place will be Josh Adams versus Kid Osborne. Finally, Josh gets his hands on Kid Osborne, and they wrestled last week, but this is more personal. There's not the championship on the line here. This is personal for Josh Adams and Kid Osborne, and that's been a situation that's been brewing for the past month or so because of the tournament. Josh has been very outspoken in saying that, he goes out there and he puts in the hard work and this, that, and the other. Whereas Kid Osborne, he feels entitled to these things, and he feels like he's a cut above Josh Adams and everybody else. And Kid Osborne, he's so full of himself, but he cheats at every turn of the corner, and cost Josh Adams the opportunity to quite possibly wrestle for the Medal of Valor at Dojo Wars 100. And so now there's a big personal issue here between those two. And then finally, as a culmination of the big dramatic Destination Series, Wheeler Yuta became successful in that whole thing, besting 13 other individuals over the course of about 2 months, and he will finally get his reward, and that is a shot against Frankie Picard. For the Medal of Valor, Frankie puts the medal up on the line for the 15th time, one-on-one with Wheeler Yuta. And let me tell you, on paper, I think that might be the best possible match to come out of the D2 series, because Wheeler Yuta, we saw him last night. If you want a solid classic type professional wrestling match, Wheeler Yuta's your guy. He's very skilled, technical wrestler. He peppers in those arm drags. He can fly. He can do those quick little strike combinations. And you know what? So can Frankie. He can get it done on the mat. We've seen Frankie fly. That Tope Con Hero last night that he hit on Jay Hyde. He almost nearly took a header into the wall. He had so much momentum coming out of the ring. So these two guys are really evenly matched, and on paper, I'm really, really excited for that matchup. And as always, as ever, it will be 2 out of 3 falls for that Medal of Valor, as has been the stipulation for that championship since its inception. And I'm very much excited for the entire card, because I think on paper, you look at the matches. I got a 4-way tag, I got a 6-man scramble, and I got 8 other matches. This is the most packed, loaded lineup I think I've ever kind of devised and came up with for any one particular event. And I really can't wait to see how it shakes out. And hopefully I can't let everybody in the building. That's my goal. I want so many people to show up that not everybody can be inside. I want to open up that garage door and say, hey, you guys can watch from outside. But I have no more seats left. I really want that to be a problem to have next Wednesday. And with that being said, I urge everybody who's listening, even if you have the slightest inkling of what professional wrestling is or might be, or you've never heard of Dojo Wars before, whatever the case may be, come down to 110 Harmon Drive, Suite 304, Blackwood, New Jersey, next Wednesday, November the 9th, with $5. All it takes is $5 to get in, and you will see one of the most loaded independent wrestling events, at least in New Jersey, for all of 2016. I don't think that's hyperbole by any stretch of the imagination either. I am that confident in the card that I have put forth, and I am that confident in the wrestlers in our roster that, this is, if a mega event before Cage of Death is WrestleMania for us, this is, I guess, our SummerSlam. That would be the number 2 show of the year, I guess, right?
Yeah.
For WWE.
Yeah.
either SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or, whatever it is. Hell, the Raw after WrestleMania. That's pretty much the biggest show of the year now for them. But this has all the makings of being an absolute instant classic of a wrestling event. And I tell you what, we're 6 days away from it, and as each day, as we get closer, each and every day, I'm just going to be more and more hyped up for it, and I'm going to be more excited. This is, I feel like this is kind of the culmination of everything I've been doing for the entire year. I really do. And next week is an opportunity for me to kind of, for all of us to really prove how far we've made it. And I really hope that it turns out to be as memorable as I'm kind of hyping it up to be.
I think it should be, because that's a stacked card.
Yeah, I have no doubt. Even adding to it, next Wednesday night, you get to see talents from all over this area in one spot. Guys that you might usually have to drive to North Jersey, New York, over the border into Philadelphia to see, you're going to see in one spot against each other, and it's just going to be great professional wrestling.
Yeah,
for $5. For $5.
And you guys know, it's professional wrestling at its rawest, most pure form. There's no real fancy lighting and pyrotechnics and music and all that. No, this is professional wrestling. It's like you've been transported back to a studio in the 1980s somewhere, watching some great territorial wrestling TV product. That's the feel that I want to have, and that's the feel I think that we do have. It's no frills. It's straight up professional wrestling for $5. Can't beat it.
And the best thing about it too is you don't want to, I wouldn't want people to think that you're getting a story too. These guys are telling you a story in the ring as well. There may not be the, like you said, the frills and the explosions and all that unnecessary stuff. You're getting a story as well. These guys are not only giving you great matches, they're also week in and week out telling a story between each other. And I think that's the most important part too, is if you see Dojo Wars 100, you probably are going to want to come back to 101 to see what unfolds next, and then 102 and going forward, like we've been doing. It'll pull you in not only with the product, with the in-ring wrestling, but also the interaction between these guys, to me, has been on point the last 30 weeks or whatever that we've been coming. And I used to watch on Periscope prior to that too, so I know the stories and everything, and just their interactions, and just the way they've worked together has been phenomenal for the last at least a year now that I've seen it. So I can't recommend it enough.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I couldn't agree more with what Jason was saying. He took the words right out of my mouth.
And
sorry, go ahead.
To keep that momentum going, I have a lot of fun things in mind coming up as we close out the year of 2016. I've been contacted by a couple of guys on the indie scene that want to come in, and they want to wrestle at Dojo Wars, and we'll be seeing some returning faces and some new faces in the upcoming couple of months. Some new to Dojo Wars gimmick matches will be coming down the pike, and I'm just trying to keep things fresh and keep things kind of popping up, and we're in for a fun ride coming up, and it kind of I don't want to say it starts next Wednesday, because like you guys have seen, it has been an ongoing thing. It's the longest running weekly episodic wrestling event in Blackwood, New Jersey, if I can borrow from Michael Cole. It's been ongoing for a long time now, but I think we start a new chapter next Wednesday. We don't open up a new book or anything like that, but we're really kind of up in the ante on Wednesday, and we're going to keep that ball rolling as we go from 101 to 102, 103, and hopefully to 5,012 or however many there are weeks in a lifetime. I don't know, but I want this thing to keep rolling and snowballing, and I want to sell that place out every week, man. I know it's tough because it's on a Wednesday, but like hopefully if we keep scratching and crawling and getting the name out there, there's some exciting things on the horizon for Dojo Wars as a program in itself, in terms of possible distribution deals and stuff like that, like behind the scenes kind of stuff, which only means Dojo Wars is getting bigger and bigger. People are watching. Important people in the wrestling business and in the entertainment business are keeping an eye on us, and it's really cool to see this stuff kind of unfold. And I'm just really excited for the future. That's really all what it boils down to: excitement for professional wrestling. That's the best feeling to have. It's what drives me, and it's what drives all of us really at Dojo Wars. We all have a shared passion for putting on the very best possible product we can, and we're hungry. We want the wrestling world to notice us, and man, we all have this one common goal in mind, and that's to be the future, and to be the not just the future, but be the right now. We want to be the right now and be the future, and we're coming for it, man. We're really doing it. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we feel your excitement. We're right there with you. We agree that it's exciting. And another thing is people should come out and see these guys now, because I have a feeling that a good portion of them, maybe all of them, you're gonna see them later down the road, in different places, and the future of professional wrestling is right there in Blackwood, New Jersey, in my opinion. And it's a very, very, very good future, and it's in good hands, I guess you would say, the future of pro wrestling with you guys.
I thank you so much for that. And just as kind of a case in point, as an example for what you just said, Jason, take, for instance, a guy like Joey Janela. Here's a guy who has been wrestling for, I want to say, 10 years. I might be off by a year or two in either direction, but 10 years seems like it to me. But it wasn't really until he started coming around to Dojo Wars in late 2014 on a weekly basis. He started coming, and then we saw improvement in him, and then we threw him onto the main show, the anniversary show at the arena in 2015, and ever since then, ever since he kind of got started at Dojo Wars, that's how he got on our radar, truly on our radar. And then we put him out there, and then all of a sudden, boom, he becomes one of the most popular guys on the scene, and now he's everywhere. He's in Canada, he's out in Ohio, he's out in everywhere in Jersey, New York. He's traveling everywhere. And I'm not saying it's because of Dojo Wars, but Dojo Wars helped, because that's what really kind of got him. It allowed him to be seen by Gulak and DJ and me every week in and week out, and we're like, okay, we're gonna put Joey Janela on the main show, and he killed it, and he took every bit of that opportunity. He made the best of it. Guys like Joe Gacy, somebody who's been around CZW for years, he was wrestling every week on Dojo Wars. Now it's a bit more sporadic, but still, when he shows up, he puts work in, and Dojo wrestling every week really ups your game. You don't get better unless you do it on a regular, consistent basis. And Joe Gacy and Joey Janela will tell you that Dojo Wars has helped them in their career. And those are guys that it's not just for the young guys. It's for the guys who have been in the business maybe 6-7 years and are and just now, they started working somewhere on a weekly basis in front of the same crowd and finding out what works, what doesn't work, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're everywhere. It works. The program works, and it's really exciting to see. So, yeah, to your point, get here now. See these guys at the dojo while you can before they're wrestling on TV somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that wrestling at the dojo every week it helps them kind of hone in their craft where they're consistently, working and can maybe try different things and see what works, what doesn't work, and, those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what moves fit in their arsenal, what moves maybe don't, what kind of mannerisms are appropriate for their character, and, that kind of stuff. It really gives them a place with regularity so that they can continue to sharpen up their skills week in and week out, which is very important for professional wrestling.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, before we get out of here, Emil, how can people contact you on social media?
All right. I'm pretty much everywhere with the same handle. It's at the MLJ, TheEmiljay. I'm most active on Twitter, and mostly between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m. When I partake in my my little end of day drink. And start watching some old wrestling. I'm always a fool on Twitter around that time. But seriously, I am on Twitter at the MLJ. Also on Facebook. Look me up, MLJ. I should pop right up. Instagram and Snapchat, I think, are the same things, but I very rarely use those as a medium. But if you want to talk to me, get at me on Twitter. I'm very, as you guys know, I'll respond. I very much like to engage in conversation with fans and wrestlers alike. So don't hesitate. Hit me up. Shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger. We can have a chat about the professional wrestling, the greatest sport in the world.
That's right. I couldn't agree more about that. But we're going to get out of here for today.
One more.
Go ahead.
Twitter.com/CZW Dojo Wars, too. Follow that for Dojo Wars news.
Man, how did I botch that spot? Wow. My God. Yeah, follow at CZW Dojo Wars. That is the official home for Dojo Wars on Twitter. At CZW Dojo Wars one more time. Give us a follow on there. And once again, I'll plug the YouTube, youtube.com/Dojo Wars 1. And also, while I'm in the mood for shilling, as I said, next Wednesday is Dojo Wars 100. 2 weeks from this upcoming Saturday is a deadly doubleheader with WSU and CZW at the Flyer Skate Zone in Voorhees. And to make DJ Hyde happy with me, if you would like to get yourself another or the only streaming wrestling video on demand site, hey, check out CZWstudios.com, $9.99 a month. It's got CZW, WSU, 5 boroughs, title wrestling out in Europe, legacy wrestling in Pennsylvania, Big Japan stuff, and there might be a couple of other promotions that I may be forgetting off the top of my head. If I forgot one, I'm sorry to any of those promoters. I apologize, but check it out. CZWstudios.com. We also have shoot interviews up there with guys like Black Cheese, Sozio, Matt Tremont, documentary packages, historic CZW events, modern CZW events. We have a lot of stuff up on there, so check it out. And there's also Dojo Wars Mega events up there. And hey, you never know, you might find Dojo Wars on CZW Studios soon too. You never know. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, that
with
could
the way
be
things
next
are
on the
happening so fast.
horizon.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, man, check all that stuff out, and at CZW Dojo Wars on Twitter and at the MLJ on Twitter. So yeah, check those things out.
Sounds good. All right, everybody, we're going to head out for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And we will see you back next time. Have a good day, everybody.